You're tuned in to Shake, Rattle, and Goal, the official podcast of your Springfield Thunderbirds.
Becca's there on the backhand, scoring the save, rebound in the crease, they score!
Hosted by Matt Baker and Steve Forney. A show that's everything Springfield hockey, with interviews including players, coaches, and staff.
The Springfield Indians repeat as the Calder Cup champions.
Listen to this podcast on all major streaming platforms and wherever you download podcasts.
In his first year at the helm, Kevin McDonald and Drew Bannister have the Teamers in the Calder Cup Finals.
Watch the podcast on the official Shake, Rattle, and Goal YouTube page at SRG Podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Matt Baker and Steve Forney.
And this episode number 19 of Season 2, the Shake, Rattle, and Gold podcast is proudly brought to you by our friends at White Lion Brewing in downtown Springfield and in Amherst, by our friends at Brewcade on Walnut Street in Agawam, and by our friends at Landscaping That Fits. You can reach out to Rob at 413-847-0338. Alongside Matt Baker, I am Steve Forney. What is up, Matt? How are you, my friend?
Doing well. I got a little bit of the Super Bowl. I almost said Super Bowl hangover, but I didn't really. It's not really hangover. It's just I'm exhausted. Stayed up way too late last night. So ready to record and then get ready for bed. How you guys doing?
Oh, I was definitely hungover. But the nice thing was I woke up, showered. I had my sophomores in the morning. 10 o'clock rolled around. It was my free period, and all of a sudden it was like, oh boy. It's like, oh man, I am not feeling good. Hey, whatever, we got through it. That's what makes it fun.
That's it.
And I'm glad you guys came over. We had a little thing here.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good time.
Boys
had a good time
over. So, we got some games obviously coming up here in the Midwest. One programming note just to throw out to the folks. The Forney family is going on vacation next week. I probably shouldn't say that to the public. Don't come like knocking on my house. There's nothing valuable in here anyway. We got Ring doorbells. They're going to catch you. But so we're going to be out of town. So we're putting together some interviews this week. Just a couple interviews just to have something in the can. A couple of guests that I think are just fascinating. One of which, if it works, is the guy who works the penalty box in the visiting side. And I've heard his stories for a decade and they're great. And he's just got tons of interesting stories, and he's an awesome dude. So we got a couple of them lined up. So hopefully that will be next week's episode. So if you're tuning in looking for game day breakdowns, we're probably not going to have it, but we'll get back on it the following week.
I'll do my best. I should be around. We have a few day things going on, but I might pop on live a little bit. My kids are doing the Kids Club Breakfast of Champions with the team next Friday, so I might do a little live clip, cool. There. I don't know if they'll let me do it at practice to record practice live. I don't know, but I'll do my best, fans, to try to go live a little bit, just to give at least my impressions of the week's games. But that episode, the official SRG episode, we'll post, and we're working on a few other interviews as well from team staff. So
yeah. So yeah, we'll see how it all breaks down, but we'll give you something. We're always going to try our best to give you something whenever we can. And looking ahead, we do have, as I said, that trip out to the Midwest. But I thought it was a wonderful weekend against Providence. 3 out of 4 points. And my biggest takeaway is sitting on the couch watching that game in Providence. I said, this is like the most entertaining hockey game of the entire season.
Yeah.
Then the game in Springfield, watching it from my spot, I said, nope, this is the most entertaining hockey game I've seen all year. And, sometimes the entertaining can be sloppy. Sometimes it can be physical. Sometimes it can be not physical. Sometimes there's no goals. Sometimes there's a lot of goals. Entertaining, fast-paced. Yeah. Both teams just, to me, skated well. I thoroughly enjoyed watching that 120 minutes of hockey, plus with the overtime and the shootout, right? It was great.
I'm going to do something. Yeah, I'm going to do something a bit irresponsible and kind of go out on a limb, and say that was a weekend where playoff runs are made. That type of weekend. You, as a Springfield Thunderbird fan, right? The team is sitting there in 6th place. You have the last playoff spot, and you're looking up at everybody else, and up top is the Providence Bruins, who have been in the top half for most of the season in standings wise. I think they had a few, tough stints there, but they've been up at the top half of the standings, and home and homes are tough, but you drag them out to overtime, and then you kind of blow the doors off as the Isotopes and beat a DiPietro, an all-star goalie, 1.91 goals against heading into the game. You put 4 on them. Not only you gain a point against Providence in this weekend, but all of the weekends, things that we've been talking about, this team is learning how to win and this and now they're healthy, and knock on wood, things are coming together, things are clicking, and you said it, entertaining hockey, playoff hockey. I mean, I think neither one of these teams are intimidated of each other, but we said this before, where Springfield's kind of had their way with Providence this year. I mean, it hasn't been a clean sweep. They're not running away with everything, but they have a winning record against Providence this year. And so this was a type of weekend where playoff runs can be made. And as long as they continue, I believe they're on a 7-game point streak, 3 out of 4 points earned this week. Again, +1 on Providence. So you gained a point on Providence, even though you lost the first game. It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Yeah, and now you're 1 point back of Lehigh Valley with 2 games in hand. You're 6 points behind Providence with a game in hand. So, like you said, I'd like a little bit more comfort. Mm-hmm. I don't like just hanging out in the last playoff spot.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's keep going. Let's keep moving up and up and up and up. And I think that the roster as it is in such good shape. We haven't even mentioned, at least for, I think, this road trip, I'm not positive, but with the Four Nations tournament, now Zach Bolduc comes back down. So now you're adding Bolduc to this. Wouldn't it be nice to get neighbors too? But at least you got Bolduc. Mm-hmm. Again, I don't know where he goes because the lineup is what it is, or who sits, But I mean, Hugh McGing had a stomach bug Sunday night. Tanner Dickinson came in. I thought Tanner Dickinson played great. I thought
can I dub? And I hope they play more. Again, where do we put all these guys? I don't know, but I need more of Dickinson, Robertson, and Bitten just for my Sons of Bitten line. They need to play more just so I can yell in the stands, Sons of Bitten. Like, let's go. That's just fantastic. But they play great. They play hard. They bring it's I don't know. I don't know where you put all these guys. And Bolduc coming down for the time being is fantastic. Does that mean can you afford to give a guy, and I'm spitballing here, right? But does that mean you can give a guy like Pekka or Luff a little bit of a break, a game off?
Well,
I know they're clicking. I know chemistry is there, but do you just give them a night off and not even worry about it?
Yeah. And one of the things that Ryan Smith relayed from the coach was that the lines 1 through 4, those numbers are placeholders. They're not
right.
Top line, bottom line. And he said, basically, I don't have to play any of my forwards 17, 18, 20 minutes a night. Like, everybody plays equal and you're still where you're at. So it's not like in years past, or even, the teams across the AHL and the NHL, you have your top 2 lines that play way more minutes than the bottom 2 because of the talent. And the Thunderbirds don't have to do that. They can literally roll all 4 lines. Basically, I think everybody on the roster can kill penalties. Mm-hmm. I think pretty much everybody can contribute on the power play. So it's like it's an embarrassment of riches where they are on paper right now. And let's just hope that they can stay healthy the rest of the way. I think Zach Dean's really starting to work his way back into the lineup. Robertson's been great since he's back. McKecker in a wonderful weekend. Obviously, Nicky was phenomenal the weekend, but particularly Saturday night. So I don't know. You try not to get, again, it seems like yesterday we were having the same conversation and they were trending down, and everything ebbs and flows. So we'll see what this weekend brings, and there's a week of games, but you got to love where they're at. So I think you mentioned it sort of off air, but again, I think one of the biggest stories of the weekend is the goaltending, which continues to still be strong. Zarenko with, 42 saves? 42 saves in the loss in the shootout to Providence. And Colton Ellis was just borderline unbeatable in the game Sunday. These two guys just keep continuing to, and I think it says a lot to the coach, because we wondered about Zarenko, right? We were having that conversation. When do you play him? When do you bring him back? How gingerly do you bring him back? Whatever happened, however they did it, worked really well, because this kid is playing phenomenal hockey, and maybe that's what he needed, just a couple weeks, but it's working.
Yeah, I mean, he's been lights out. If I can take a minute to kind of air my grievances from the weekend, I think where an emphasis still of needs to improve on the shots against. You cannot be, and how much did we talk about that potentially putting a Zarenko in a funk? We're weeks away from that. But we talked about it. If you have a hot goalie and he's making 40 plus saves, great. But if he's just now your average type goalie and he's facing 40 saves, facing 40 shots and making 34 saves. If I just told you, goaltender X, Y, and Z, they all made 34 saves Saturday night, you'd be like, oh, they probably played pretty well. Well, if they're facing 40 shots, they let in 6 goals, probably got pulled, and their fan base is calling them to head down in the ECHL. That never was the case. So I do still think, I don't think it's a Z thing or a Colton Ellis thing. It's just there are nights when, as a team, they're giving up too many shots for whatever reason. And I would like to see that more consistently come down a little bit. And I think too, like in context, it'd be one thing if, you're heading into period 3, let's just say, I'm making this scenario up, and, shots are even around 20 a team. And then, one team, Springfield's up 2, so the other team is just dominating ice time, and you're keeping shots away, and they end the game close to but when it's all game long, which is what happened in Providence against Z, he had to be phenomenal, and even phenomenal in overtime as well, just to get him to the shootout. So shots against, they need to tighten that up. I think Saturday in Springfield, the Isotopes did a really nice job on faceoffs, but that was something I was kind of growing concerned about. They're, losing some pretty big faceoffs in the offensive zone. And, the elephant in the room for me, the shootout. I don't know why we can't figure out a shootout.
Well, we haven't had many of them. Maybe that's a part of it. It's when you don't do it a lot, maybe. I don't know, but it seems like they're coming rare to come by.
0 for 9. 0 for 6 against Bussy. I mean, luckily, if you're in the playoffs, you don't get there. You just keep playing overtime, right?
Right.
So that's okay. The point's the point, whether you lose in overtime or lose in a shootout. But I guess for me, it's just more surprising because you see the skill on this team from top to bottom, and you're like, really, these guys can't score? I mean,
and the save that Bussy made, I think. Whoever played the first game, DiPietro, Bussy. The save he made on the last shootout attempt was ridiculous. In fact, Providence reposted it today, and I maybe from my seat, I just didn't realize how ridiculous of a save.
Is that against Johannesson? That was the defense, right? They had the defender going through.
He kind of, which again, I don't like.
Yeah.
Like, I know you got talented defensemen, but like your forwards are there to score. Like, how are you not going with? Like, where we're. I mean, you're telling me between Alexandrov, Luff, Pekka, McEacher, and Stenberg, like you're telling me you can't find 3 forwards that could do that. But hey, they know, coach knows better than I do, right?
Yeah.
So, but on the shot thing, I mean, you're right. That game Friday night, they were outshot 17-8 in the third period. Like, that's shocking. And how do you go from You're playing the same team back to back. How do you
Yeah.
go from giving up 45 shots one night to 32 shots the next? 32 shots is tolerable. I can handle that number.
Yeah,
45.
right. It's about 10
too
a
many.
game, 10 a period. I'll take that.
Right. So what changed, right? Like
Yeah.
what went wrong, I guess, or what went right? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
how did that number get so high? So I don't know.
The other thing, and
Yeah,
I
go
wanted
ahead.
to ask you this, Steven, and I'll let you comment on it. If you remember when my kind of gripe in Iowa was, where's that extra gear? Where's that turn it up? Do you feel like the third period in Providence? I was sitting on my couch again. It's already my thought, right? So I'm already looking for it, but I'm like, again, this is when they need to crank it up. You had a lead. Boston is coming at you. I'm sorry, Providence. Providence is coming at you. Where's that next gear? It doesn't have to be sustained for 20 minutes because, like, that's the thing about that momentum gear, that extra juice. It just has to be when it's needed. It doesn't have to be sustained over 90 minutes. Like, I don't know. Do you could feel a different way? Am I wrong on that? Or,
Well,
what are your thoughts on that?
So I went back to, again, I always jot down these notes in the away games. So for my third period, I wrote great start to the period, massive pressure, no goals, but message sent. They're not messing around in the third. McGing scores the go-ahead goal. Let me just like triple check that I got that right. Yeah, McGing scores. The 7-minute mark. T-Birds applying pressure with the lead, dominant first 10 minutes of the period, 9:26 whistle. T-Birds just dominate the ozone and wear Pravi raggy. Providence finally gets a chance and Lizelle goes offsides. T-Birds are in their head. Next thing I said, update. It's 2-2 and they haven't had a shot on goal since I typed that. Right? So do they need it sustained for 20 minutes? No, but you can't have that much of a lack, and you can't let the other team come back into it that in. Providence dominated the second half of the period. Springfield needs to find another gear. Overtime awaits. Side note, good job dragging Providence to OT. Got the point. So, it's nice to come out gangbusters like that. But when, they brought their intensity up, Providence matched their intensity. Providence brought their intensity up, and Springfield didn't match that jump. Do you know what I mean? So, how do you either squash them or bring yourself up to that level? And, I'm not sure what the answer is to that, but there is a little bit of that lack of full 20-minute energy consistency leveling up.
Yeah. And again, I don't necessarily think it's the worst thing in the world, because you want a team, if they're down 2-1, and I think that's just a Pekka leadership where he's just stay the course, trust the skill, trust your guys, trust the team, trust the process, keep grinding, keep working, and we'll get it. We'll get it. Keep grinding, keep grinding. I think that's sort of the Pekka leadership, but I notice there are times when energy gets cranked up by the opposing team and you're just like, come on, Thunderbirds, weather this storm. And then you're looking for them to respond, and sometimes they fall short there.
One other thing that I had in my notes that I was not exactly thrilled with, I wrote in the second period, how many times is Zarenko going to get barreled into? Let the first couple go fine. At some point, the refs needs to acknowledge that you can't do that. I go to overtime. We're still running Z. I'm pro refs, but what the hell? You told Providence they could own Z's crease with your non-calls all night, and then there's Lettieri. They better not win the game on one of those. 2-0 and Z is massive. They did get a power play at the end of that, which didn't work out. But like that, stop running the goalie. And you know what? If somebody does run your goalie, you better be right in their face and be ready to smash them. The goaltending, the officiating in the crease to me has been one of the least consistent things throughout the entire season. Dylan Peterson's the one he had, I think, in Iowa. Well deserved. You barreled the guy over, then you fought, and we're all's fine.
Yep.
Z got run 3 or 4 times in that game, and once they didn't get called, Providence was like, all right, cool, we'll just keep doing it. And so that to me is a problem. That was annoying. But again,
I'm with you. I would have liked to see Z get protected. I mean, I know they're kind of bang plays, and whether or not a player is pushing, the Providence guy into Z, but there were about 4 times when, even my kids were like, how come they keep knocking Z over?
Right.
I also want to say, I want to make a point. Ryan, fantastic call in Providence. He brings so much energy.
It's awesome.
And those saves that Z made, he had so much energy, and it feeds into your audience. Ryan, I know you listen to the show. Great call. I couldn't hear you at Isotopes game, so I'm sure that was fantastic as well. But great call with the game in Providence. Your energy, we feel it on the couch. Thank you.
Absolutely. No, enjoy him while you got him, because he's NHL bound any minute now. He's way overdue for his call to the NHL. So love me some Ryan Smith for sure. And then real quick, just looking at the game Saturday night, I know we touched on it a little bit. Unless you want to go back to Providence at all, or are you done with that first game?
I was good with it. Overall, I thought it was a great team performance. Z played on his head and was fantastic, and everything you'd want out of your starting number one goalie. And this is a luxury we have here in Springfield.
Right. Totally. And the Topes night, again, they're 5-0 when they wear the jerseys, which is just awesome. I do think it was a little touch and go there for a little while. But again, it's 1-1 going into the third, and you get one from Nicky, then you get two, then Providence scores to make it 3-2, and you're like, all right, well, what's going to happen here? And then you hold with it, you hold steady, you keep your foot down, and then boom, 4-2, empty netter, 5-2 ball game, everybody go home. So that's one of those games that, we've seen this team over the years, maybe not a lot less this year than years past, but you're like, okay, well, we're up 2. How long until we blow this lead? Right. Yeah. And especially against a team like that. And they kept at it. And that's what you get when you have these seasoned guys. Like, I'm looking at the guys on the score sheet. Dvorsky, and I guess really just Dvorsky I'll take out of it. Maybe Leo Loof, but Alexandrov, McEachern, Alexandrov, Pekka, Alexandrov, Schuneman, Luff, Pekka, Kessel. Like, it's almost all those guys have had NHL experience. They've been around. Like, we talk about these rookies all the time, but now that you're healthy, now is when you're relying on this mix of old and young, smashing them together. And old, you guys know I don't mean it that way, but
yeah,
seasoned vets against with rookies.
They're younger than us.
They're all younger than us. Holy smokes, are they ever? But that's when you really need those guys, your leaders, to lead, and that was very much on display in the game Saturday night. Again, fantastic goaltending. One other thing I noticed from both games, I think Springfield had 5, maybe 6 penalties in both games. Or maybe they gave up 6 power plays because there was fighting and matching roughings and stuff like that, but relatively disciplined.
Yes.
They did give up a power play goal to Providence, but even still, I thought that the penalty on Hunter Skinner, the slash, was just awful. It was on a breakaway, just a terrible call. But I thought they stayed relatively disciplined this weekend too, which is good. So
yeah, I think that goal heading into second intermission, that late goal by Nicky, the first goal was huge.
Yes, 8 seconds left. Yeah,
right. And I listened to Coach Konowalchuk after the game, and he basically said, we, even if that doesn't go in, we're still confident. He liked how they were playing and felt like things would come, but just mentally knowing, okay, we got one, right? We got one going to intermission. It feels better, right? Feels better. But I thought Dvorsky has really, really come on as of late. He's maybe not scoring as much as maybe the St. Louis Blues want or you would think, but his playmaking, his decision making, I think is really, really coming along. Him playing with Nicky is fantastic.
Hey, a goal and 2 assists, and he was +3 on +2 on Saturday. What more can you ask for a 19-year-old?
That's what I mean. I think he's really, really coming along. I think Otto Stenberg getting his first goal at home, second goal of the season, but seeing Otto Stenberg score here in Springfield was nice. And again, you're seeing young guys contribute, the old guys doing their part as well. Nicky's goal off of DiPietro's was it Pekka's? Was that goal number 4? I think. Pekka's goal was that 4th.
Yeah, Pekka's goal was the 4th. Yeah.
So that Nicky totally sets that up. And again, having the game that he's having, I think that forced kind of DiPietro to overplay Nicky a little bit more. He missed the post. Nicky sends it back. You see the overhead replay where it kind of the puck bounces right off DiPietro's skate, right to a crashing Pekka. Not that long ago, we're talking about crash the net. There's Pekka crashing the net, and he just puts that in for an easy goal. And then I wanted to ask you for the empty net, Dvorsky, he was by you when he shot that in. So I'm sitting away in section 1. Nicky was crashing. He's sitting on 2 goals. Nicky was kind of crashing on the other, like crashing towards the net on the other side of the rink. After it went in, from my vantage point, it almost looked like Dvorsky saw that it was Nicky and was kind of like, oh, he put his head up a little bit. Did you see any of that, or am I totally just imagining that?
So I didn't see that, but I was under the impression after you texted me that I don't think Dvorsky even knew he was there, and I don't even think he was focused on passing.
Yeah,
I think I don't even think he picked his head up. I mean, I think he knew where the goal was, and he had the puck. He kind of turned and just fired it.
Yeah,
and I bet he looked up and goes, "Oh, it's you." Like, I don't even.
That's what I mean. That's what I think. He didn't know it was Nick. Had he known it was Nicky, he might have tried to give him, pass it to him so he can get his hattie. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was funny. They don't care, right? They want the win, and that's one thing I will say. The sense I get as a fan watching all these games, this is a team that has bought into team. I think credit Connor Walchuk, credit the leadership group there. They're not here for individual stats. They're here to win. You had McGing, ice cold, right? But always doing what he was supposed to do. Coach Connor Walchuk praising him game in and game out for that. And then now the goals are coming in bunches for him. So this is a group of guys who are enjoying playing together, and you could tell they're team first.
I will say I'm kind of I with all due respect, I'm kind of glad that wasn't a hat trick, because then we would have had to clean up all the hats, and then I would have had to get out of there even that much later because we did the jersey auction. Thanks to everybody who participated in the jersey auction. I will just say this is the first time this year that the players came out. And it's such a reminder to me every year. These guys are just so nice. Like, they come out, hey, what's going on? They give you a fist bump. They just shake the jersey around. And the best one was by far Sam, who comes out with one of his eyes so swollen he can't open it. And he's got his Isotopes jersey, and there's just all these spatters of blood all over it. And he comes out and he's shaking it. Yeah, baby, let's go. And I'm like, this guy's an animal. Like, he's only got one eye and a jersey covered in blood. Like,
Springfield posted a good picture of him today.
Oh yeah.
And it's still a nice
shiner
little shiner
shining.
There.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, well done. And Peterson too. I thought both of those little scraps, they were good, healthy scraps, and it shows the toughness that these guys have, and not willing to back down and sticking up for each other. It's
nice to see them both come back to the game, because they both
had
kind of got worked on a little bit, and props to Billy Sweezy on Providence, who double checked with Peterson when he came to the box to make sure he was all right. He kind of apologized and that kind of thing. So
it looked like it almost, when Sweezy kind of pulled him down, I think that's what caught his head.
Mm-hmm.
At least again, from my vantage point, all the way over in section 1, that's kind of what it looked like. So, and we've talked about this before, and better than anybody as far as the conversations going back and forth in the box, where they fight. And that's all it is. It's not. I'm not looking to end your career. I'm not looking to put you out for a few weeks. We're got a dispute. We settle it and we move on.
I mean, most of the time, the days of two guys literally standing over me screaming at obscenities at each other, I probably haven't had that in about 2 or 3 seasons. Now it's mostly. I bet that happens on the ice more than it does here.
Yeah,
where talking about each other's moms or whatever else. Most of the fights that we've seen have not been retaliatory fights.
Mm-hmm.
They've been, all right, hey, you want to go? Let's go. And then they go. It isn't like somebody runs another guy and then you step in and there's a line brawl. It's not like what you saw in Hartford that night, right? So, I don't know. I don't know if times are changing, or if I keep bringing them up, but like guys like Bobby Farnham just aren't
Code of the game, I guess. I don't know.
This new generation just
game,
doesn't have the same anger that the other generation had. I don't know, but yeah, we don't get too many of those, but it's mostly cordial. And Jeffrey VL was super nice. And that fight, to me, I think, we'll do our SRG awards at the end of the season. I thought that fight was the best one of the year so far. I know that one with Wilson and Lehigh Valley at the beginning of the season was good too, but that one to me, and Sam ended up with the shiner, but man, those two guys were just
they traded them off. Yeah, they traded them off.
That was fun, and it made my daughter cry. My daughter cried twice, and it was when the fighting was happening. Why do they have to fight? They're gonna get hurt. Like, they're gonna get hurt blocking shots, babe. That's when they're gonna get hurt.
It's just a hard high five with
I know.
your fist. That's all.
Oh, for real, right to the cheekbone. So we do want to remind you this episode of the SRG podcast brought to you by our friends at White Lion Brewing. They're a new location in Amherst on North Pleasant Street, right in downtown Springfield, Tower Square, 1500 Main Street. I know the Bakers were there pregame on Saturday. I know we parked in Tower Square. They validated my wife's parking. Good time there, Matt. I put you on the spot, but would you get food, drinks? What'd you get?
Yeah, we had food, drinks. My parents came to the Isotopes, it being Agawam night, and so the boys were on the ice pregame with the flag. Just again, team letting their community make memories with their kids. So my parents came up. We all went to White Lion. We got some food, burgers, chicken wrap, some apps, and then a few drinks. So very good times. Validated parking. We were out of the parking garage in from the time I got in my car, probably a minute and 45 seconds out of the parking garage.
The worst part, and I'll be honest with everybody out there, the worst part is the
ramp.
The ramp. I mean, that thing, like, and I got a new truck, and I'm like, I don't know
scary.
what I'm doing. It's like it's really weird how it's designed, but whatever. It's like,
go slow.
I would rather do that than sit in traffic at MGM like any day of the week. I'm not doing that anymore. So, yes, thank you to our friends at White Lion. Take Matt's word for it. Great food, fantastic drinks, and good people. Ray Berry's the man over there. So if you do go, tell them that the guys from SRG sent you. Sponsored by your friends at Brewcade on Walnut Street in Agawam. They were open during the snowstorm. They had all kinds of stuff going on, arcades, dart nights, plenty of beers on tap. Nothing better than an ice cold beer. And Brewcade will do that for you. Good people, locally owned and operated. Kid I've known since I don't know, 6th grade, 5th grade. Really good people. Him and his mom and his wife are in there putting in time. So if you go in there and you see Mike Sarnelli, tell them that the guys from SRG sent you. And by our friends at Landscaping That Fits, 847-0338. And our friends Rob. Rob was not putting in for the Isotopes jersey, so I didn't see him at the auction, but great dude, and he is ready to take your calls and get you on his list for the fall. April's going to be here really before you know it, folks. So get on that list. Make sure you're ready to go when the snow melts. Get your lawn the way you need it, and whatever it is you need. He does a variety of different things, from aeration, fertilization, just mowing, spring cleanup. He'll do it all. And it doesn't have to be this long commitment. You just want him to come over and do something, he'll do it. Sure, he's going to charge you, obviously, but he'll do it. So definitely worth the call to our friends at Landscaping That Fits at 847-0338.
I had a conversation with Rob Saturday pregame, and I do know for his busy season, he's like, hey, I'm starting busy almost in March, so if you have some things that you've been looking at all winter long and you want Rob to take a look at it, make sure you give him a call sooner than later, because in a few weeks, that might be a little bit harder to fit you in. So call now.
Absolutely. And again, that phone number, 413-847-0338. We do have some fan rants here. There's a couple of them. Some of these are pretty good. I'm just going to go with the one that I think is the most interesting. Daniel Flynn, our buddy, says, so far, what Isotopes jersey has been your favorite? He says he likes last year's, the dark blue and radioactive green, and hats off to the 3-eye Homer. I agree. I think that's my favorite one. Was last year was like the bright green, right?
Yeah.
Mine was the one that he's talking about 2 years ago, which was the dark blue with like the green goopy drips. Yeah, the ooze. That was definitely my favorite. Last year's was cool because it was super bright. I feel like this year's was reflective of the first year they did it. I think they wore just bright yellow, that one too. But
They
this
kind
year
of
I
flip
like
flopped the pink sprinkles. I think were they
yeah.
flip flopped. Yeah,
And this is I think the first year where the font was like Simpson font, like on the
yeah.
back, which was really cool. So I thought this year's was great too. Shout out to Lucas Armstrong, who always designs these things. Kid's amazing. But I like the dark blue with the ooze.
So I don't know. This is me, right? I can never make a decision. I'm always on the fence. I'm always in that gray area. I like from a hockey standpoint. I like the ooze, the nuclear waste, the ooze from just a pure play off The Simpsons. I like the year 2, so that would 2022 because I think in 2021 with COVID, I don't think they had a season or something like that. So I think it was 2022. The blue with the Bart Simpson spike on the bottom. To me, that was just the most Simpsons. So I like that one for that reason. But from a hockey jersey, I like the green ooze. I thought that one looked cool. I think the concept was great. But yeah, you can't go wrong. I don't know. They're so fun. There's a reason why I was sitting next to people Saturday night, and they're like, "Yeah, this is like, we're fans. We've been fans of the Falcons, Thunderbirds, but we go to the Isotopes game every year. You can't not." And it's just a great little promo that they do. I think it's everyone's favorite. So hats off to everybody involved.
Yeah.
But those
Yeah,
would be my 2 top ones.
I got a buddy in New Hampshire who every year puts in an order from the pro shop, and he doesn't come to any of the games. But as soon as the Taupe stuff comes out, he's putting in an order to get delivered up to New Hampshire. Matt, did you grow up on The Simpsons? You watch The Simpsons?
Yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah,
I've never.
big time.
I honestly, I don't think I've seen more than 2 minutes of any Simpsons episode ever. My mom didn't let me watch it because she didn't want me to basically grow up to be a sarcastic prick. But
Well,
right, that worked. But she let me watch Seinfeld and she let me watch Family Guy. So I'm like, I don't know what you're looking for here, but yeah, I've never seen. I know
no,
the
Simpsons
characters,
was
but
big in my household. Family Guy, I think my brother and I, they tried to get us away from Family Guy. Family Guy was a lot worse. They towed the line a lot more. The Simpsons, that was a staple in my household growing up.
I felt bad because Luke upstairs had to explain to me, rack the bone or hack the bone or. And I'm like, what is this hack the bone? Oh, well, in the episode, Lisa Simpson gets. I'm like, which one's Lisa? Like, I was so dumb. So much for I teach broadcasting, Steve. Get with the program. But yeah, no, so I do enjoy the night, but I got to be honest, most of the references, I'm like, I don't know.
Oh,
what the
I
hell's
love
going
them.
on. Did you like, because I know you asked me about it before the game. Did you like the thing with Otto Stenberg?
So I didn't get to see it.
Oh, it was good.
I got stuck helping our kids get on the ice with their school.
Right.
They needed more adult.
And your wife was working the Chuck-a-Puck booth.
Yeah, Jill was working the Chuck-a-Puck table, and I was downstairs, and they needed some adult supervision, and I volunteered to help. So I missed it. I was a little bit annoyed just for that I missed the intro.
I'll see if I can. I'll see if they'll send it over, and I'll send it your way.
It's all right.
It was pretty good. It was cute.
I'm sure.
So, yeah. Anyway, good question there by Daniel Flynn. I forgot what we were doing there. Josh Cassava, the future looks bright. Imagine playoffs with Bolduc, Tucker, and possibly Snuggerud. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't get your hopes up that all three of those guys are going to be down here. They might be, but let's not get too over the top about, especially Snuggerud. I think when his season ends, I think he's going right to St. Louis.
I think so too. I think part of that is because St. Louis is going to be in the shape that they're in. So I think they're going to be worried more about the future. Now, that's not to say that Snuggerud, kind of like a Zach Dean, won't finish out the year in St. Louis and start next year with us. I don't know. But I think given the state of where St. Louis might be at that point, you might as well let Snuggerud stay up in St. Louis and see what he's got.
Mm-hmm.
I know, the last time the T-Birds made their deep Calder Cup run, when the Blues season did end, they sent Lindgren. They sent Lindgren back down, to play along in front of Hofer to finish out the run. I don't know. I don't know if what they'll do with Tucker and Bolduc if they'll send them back down. But
and like I said, who you sit and like it's you love to have them, but I don't know who comes out.
There's
of here
something to
fully
be
healthy.
said. I mean, at that point too, in come playoff time, all teams are skilled, right? They are all filled with skilled, talented players. Really, everyone in the league, right? They're all skilled and talented. When you're looking for that tipping point, chemistry does matter. So
Yes.
I don't think it's as easy as just, let's throw Snuggerud on top line with Luff and Pekka, and they're going to score 3 goals a game. They need to play with each other to gain that chemistry, to know when to crash, when to pinch, when to cycle the puck through, how to play it off the boards. So, albeit I think Bolduc, if he plays this weekend, will be a help. It's, I'm going to temper those expectations, but overall, I think for the organization, for the St. Louis Blues organization, and the Thunderbirds fall under that, I do agree with you. The future is bright. And I know the Blues are in a little bit of a slump right now, but I truly, Josh, and everybody, I don't think that will be long lasting. I think the Blues, maybe not right away, immediate next year, but they're on their way.
And I don't mean this as any disrespect, but it's not like Bolduc is built like Mackenzie McEachern and plays the style of Sam Bitten, but can also score. Like, there's going to be nights and maybe even playoff matchups where you need some meat, like you need some big dudes, you need protection, you need physicality.
100%.
And, maybe that's, you'd rather him over Tanner Dickinson. Well, yeah, probably. But where, now, like you said, now what's the chemistry going to look like? Where are you shuffling? Who's with who? Yeah. So I'm glad we don't have to do that job. And I'm certainly not going to poo-poo sending us more talent. We'll take all the talent you want to send us.
Right.
Right. Our buddy Vincent Carroll with a good one. No complaints or criticism. Great weekend. Saturday's game was a blast. Excellent job by the organizations on the Isotopes night. Couple questions. One, is Silvegaard officially gone? Yes. The team has, the St. Louis organization has terminated his contract. So I believe he was already back in Sweden when that happened.
Yeah.
So he is officially gone. Wonder why there hasn't been a statement from the team. I think they don't comment a lot about that. Usually they kind of leave those stuff. And this is why I'm on Twitter, because I think they usually leave that stuff up to, like I don't know, all these Canadian guys that are always on Twitter that I follow. I can never remember any of their names. Darren Drager, right? And all these guys, like, they always are posting that kind of stuff. So I think they kind of leave it to those guys to get that information out. Number 2, why hasn't Callan played in a while? Injured or healthy scratch? Keep up the strong work, T-Birds. I don't think Callan's hurt. I think he's sort of in Scott Harrington company. I think he's just kind of odd man out a little bit. His biggest value is faceoffs, and as you've said, you look up and down this, the middle of the lineup, and they're in really good shape at center with faceoff guys, people who can kill penalties, play special teams. I think Drew might just be sort of the odd man out.
I agree. Yeah.
It was a little weird that McGing sat out with the illness and Callan didn't come in. It was Dickinson instead, because McGing's playing center, and now that's when you put you'd think, well, let's put Callan in, but it wasn't. So I don't know. I don't know if he's hurt or not.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything of him being hurt. I know Laffy and McGing were at my wife's school today. We're recording Monday night, as they were part of their community and part of their book club, reading book club that the Thunderbirds do. So it was McGing and Laffy were at my wife's school today. No injuries, no limp, no crutches or boots or anything like that. So I think they're just healthy scratches. And like you said, who are you taking out?
Right.
And when you take that player X out, what are you missing that a Drew Callan doesn't fill? So you also wonder with a guy like a Tanner Dickinson, a little bit more of a, coming back from injury last year. I know he was sort of like a highly touted prospect or thought of a potential, highly.
He missed a year and a half of hockey too, which is hard.
So, how much are the Blues, hey, wink, wink, we want to see what these guys can do. We know what a Drew Callen can do. Again, I don't know, speculating how much future investment does the team have in any player at this level, the developmental league for the NHL. At some point, you've got to have your big club kind of say, hey, we want to see this player. What can he do on a fourth line? So that's sort of my thought on it. But again, if you need to put a Drew Callen in on a fourth line to win some faceoffs in a game, or to somebody's out for a few nights, he can play. He's very competent for his role.
Yep, totally fine. He could play on my team any day for sure. Ryan Sean, I think the only negative from the weekend was the slow start and the lack of shots Friday in Providence. Still did a complete 180 Saturday for the win. Tough stretch of games coming up, but it'll be nice to have Bolduc to help out for a few games. Yeah, to me, Ryan, it's like they did a complete 180 on Saturday for the win. So my follow-up is, well, how? What was different? Why did the 180 happen, and why did it need to happen in the first place, I guess? And again, we say this like as if they played terribly. They really didn't, right? They gave up a lot of shots. They're on the road. First game back after the All-Star break, right? So, you can make all the excuses you want, but yeah, you're right. It was striking how different the two games were. And like I said, even in my notes, the Thunderbirds at times dominated the game on Saturday. It just wasn't sustainable, and they gave up a lot of shots. So I'm not sure, Ryan, but definitely something to keep our eye on as we look forward to this road trip here. And speaking of the road trip, let's see. So we go again, another interesting week because we have midweek games. I don't know about you guys. I love the midweek road games. I need something to watch on a Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday night besides Jeopardy.
Yeah.
I'll still watch Jeopardy, but I'll pause the game. I love Jeopardy. Oh my God. I loved it since college. So Wednesday they are in Grand Rapids. That's a dumb question. Is that Michigan?
Yeah.
What the hell's Grand Rapids, Michigan? Okay.
Yeah.
Grand Rapids, Michigan. They go to, so that's Wednesday at 7. They go to Milwaukee. I know that's in Wisconsin on Thursday at 7. And then Saturday they are at Rockford, which I'm 95% sure is in Illinois. Yeah. Anyone confirm or deny?
Sounds good. What is Illinois?
Yeah. I just know Rockford from the Rockford Peaches from A League of Their Own. But anyway.
League of Their Own. Yes.
So I think this is a good time for them to sort of step out of the cycle of Providence, Bridgeport.
Yep.
Hartford, Providence, Bridgeport, get out of that cycle a little bit and see some new teams and new faces and new schemes, right? Like new everything. I'm looking forward to.
Bless you.
Thank you to this. I got the mute button on time.
There you go.
Yeah, I want to see what it looks like.
Yeah, I'm with you. I do remember the last time, or when we faced the Griffins in the Thunderdome, big goalie, right? So we'll have to see who Grand Rapids puts in goal there. Thunderbirds have had trouble with those big goalies, but I also do feel like now with more skill on the ice from top line to bottom line, they're moving the puck a little bit more. Evident of 3 of our goals from the weekend were just that, moving the puck left to right, making the goalie move, putting the goalie out of position. I think that's the way you have to attack a big goalie. I would expect these Central teams, they're big, they're physical. So, a guy like a Mackenzie McEachern style player that's big for the Thunderbirds. I think Sam Bitton is going to have, I'm sure he's going to get razzed a little bit on the ice for his black eye. So expect him to mess things up a little bit. Hopefully Peterson's in good shape where if he's got to go, he can go. But, my big thing is I don't want to see this team get out physicaled. I think if they can play their style of physical game, stay disciplined, but stay physical. And I think the big thing on this type of central swing road trip, you got to avoid a losing streak. A loss is bound to happen. You're on a 7-game point streak. The longer you can keep that point streak going, to your point, you said this off air, right? But that's how you gain in the standings. And we are looking up. We are in that 6th spot in the playoff. That's it. Everybody else is above us. So you've got to gain ground somehow. You have to avoid those long losing streaks. So I expect just that. In my opinion, I think the key to the game is to match the physicality still while playing Springfield Thunderbird hockey. Stay disciplined, and you get a point, but you have to. More importantly than that is if you do lose a game in regulation, that next game's got to be a point. We can't go into multiple games without a point. It just makes it that much harder to climb up the standings.
Mm-hmm. And I think the game I'm looking forward to the most is the Milwaukee game. Again, Grand Rapids in second in that division, Milwaukee third, and then in fifth place is the Ice Hogs. But this Milwaukee roster, man, they are big, and they have a guy, Ryder Ralston. I believe he says born in Boston, Mass. It must be Brian Ralston's kid. But, a 6'5" left winger, 6'2", 6'2", 6'1", 6'2", 6'4", Anthony Angelo, old buddy Anthony Angelo.
Oh, I remember him. Yeah. He'll mix it up.
Yeah, and he's a good dude, too. 6'4", 6'3", 6'4". Their defensemen, 6'4", 6'5", 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". Like, holy smokes.
They're
trees
big
out there. And I have a goalie, Magnus Krona, who's 6'5". So, I mean, again, it's a number on paper, right? It's just a height. But big dudes, man. So, yeah, this is where maybe you see a Drew Callen, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you'd want a little bit of size rather than a Laffy or a Tanner Dickinson. Maybe you just kind of go with the same game plan you would go with against a Charlotte, who is big, right? So maybe there are some similarities to things you've seen in the division, but again, totally different roster, new thing. But boy, these guys are big. Holy smokes. So yeah. I'm looking forward to that one. Anders Bjork, former Bruin, Kiefer Bellows, former Bridgeport Islander, Bridgeport Sound Tiger. So there's some guys in there that you'll recognize, but I'm looking forward to it. I like these games.
Yeah.
I like these Central Division games. And again, as we mentioned, I don't want to keep saying the same thing every episode, but last week we talked about the All-Star game, and I said Atlantic for Central in the finals. I think these are the two most battle-tested divisions, and so now you're going to see even more of it. So I'm excited.
And I also think it'll be a good barometer to see where I'm just going to say it this way, where this version of this team is. When they played Grand Rapids the first time, you had a lot of significant injuries. So, I don't want to make it, it was a different version of this team. When you played Rockford Ice Hogs the first time, you won in overtime, but again, sort of a different version of this team. Now, this version of this team, where are they compared to where they were earlier in the season? Can this version play a physical style that I think is going to be necessary to pull out victories against the Central?
Pivoting, just looking at the stats, and I'm a huge stat nerd. Tip of the hat to Matthew Pekka, who just never seems to quit. 37 points in 41 games, 17 goals, 20 assists, absolute rock star. Talk about leading by example. You love to see that from Pekka, leading the team in points. Nikita Alexandrov, plus 16 for a forward on a team that is in sixth place. Like, that is in 21 games, plus 16.
21 games, 20 points. So he's basically a point a game. Plus 16. But again, to your point, what you were saying, right? All these Swedes, Nikita's not a Swede, but like playing two-way hockey is so important. And I think you're seeing a team feel what they've got. They know they got something cooking here. And so because of the injuries and the position that they've put themselves in the standings, now, playoff hockey kind of starts now for Springfield. And just to see where they can climb up. I was kind of foreshadowing the rest of the season. Maybe I'll do this after February vacation when you come back, because this will be a fun episode to have. But, how I think things could pan out. I remember I said top 3 finish in the league, or in the division at the beginning of the season. That's a tough uphill climb right now because of how things have gone. However, I did a quick little look at it. Could be possible. It's a long season.
By the way, Drew Callen is a team worst -12.
So maybe that's why.
I don't know. Maybe that, maybe
that's why.
Maybe it's more than just the -12. Maybe they're seeing something that, that we're not. But, that's definitely sticks out. So we look forward to it. We thank you, everybody, for your contributions on the fan rants.
Yeah.
Keep those
Oh, you know
coming.
what,
We're
Steve? Sorry,
happy
if I
to-
could,
Yeah, go ahead.
one more fan rant that wasn't an official fan rant. I'm hoping my banner is looking a little bit more.
I wasn't going to bring it up.
No, is it? Because it's not something I think about. So, friend of the show, Lynn, thank you very much for pointing out. I'm sure that was bothersome to more people, not just you, Lynn. So I'm hoping that it's
Is
a
it
little
is
bit.
it the map? Oh, not the map. The banner. You're saying?
Yeah, the Springfield banner was, I guess, crooked.
Oh, okay. I don't
I
even.
fixed it though. I'm hoping it looks okay now.
Admittedly, I'm just looking into your eyes. I don't
Hey.
even know what's going on behind you. But I just, yeah, I guess make sure I'm all straight here too, Lynn. If I got
You
anything
look good
going
to
on
me.
here, you.
I have Jake's desk behind me in the background. It's what happens. But I fixed the banner for you, Lynn. I hope it looks better.
Problem is, since the move, I haven't been able to find any my tax because I had this. I got to put this up
There
too.
you
I
go.
don't have any tax. I gotta get like Staples or something. So anyway, yes, thank you so much for listening. Your contributions, we appreciate it. Again, it'll be a little bit of an abbreviated episode next week, but we got a couple guests lined up that I think you guys will find fascinating. So if we can get the technology working with my buddy Bill, we'll do it. We'll do what we can with our buddy Bill. But yes, little tease. I'm trying to get the guy who I've known for a decade who works the penalty box on the visitor side.
That'll be fun.
And he's got stories forever. So
He probably knows
we'll try to
Al
get that.
pretty well too.
Oh yes, he knows Al very well. He knows Al Arment, definitely. Al comes and says hi to us before every game, all of us. So, but yes, thank you all so much. Thanks to our friends at White Lion Brewing, as always, for sponsoring the show. Amherst, downtown Springfield, our friends at Brewcade on Walnut Street in Agawam, and by our friends at Landscaping That Fits, 413-847-0338. And thank you guys all for tuning in and listening.
Yeah,
And
thanks
watching.
for all the likes and shares on social media. We appreciate it. The likes and subscriptions on our podcast. Keep streaming. 3 big games in the Central: Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Let's go, T-Birds.